What if I told you that there are specific emotional triggers and psychological buttons that make women feel an uncontrollable attraction? Knowing these isn't about tricks, it's about understanding the natural dynamics of connection. Most men go through life unaware of these cues, blindly guessing how to spark interest and failing when it matters most. But today, that changes. This isn't surface level advice or cliches, it's real insights into what women are naturally drawn to. Stick around, because the moment you understand these 10 female weaknesses, you'll see relationships from a whole new perspective. Here's a hard truth that most men don't realize: women think, feel, and react in ways that are wired differently. What works for you, directness, logic, or proving yourself, usually misses the mark with women. Why? Because attraction isn't rooted in what makes sense, but in what stirs emotions. If you're not making her feel something, her interest will fade, no matter how much effort you put into impressing her. Most men focus on material status, looks, or trying to appear perfect, but they fail to understand what matters most: emotional connection, chemistry, and timing. Take this for example. A man showers a woman with compliments, thinking that's the key to winning her over. But what happens? Instead of being drawn to him, she distances herself. Why? Compliments are nice, but they aren't magnetic. What truly works is making her feel seen. This means more than just saying the right words. It's about reading between the lines of what she says, noticing her subtle body language, and responding in ways that make her feel understood. And that is just one small glimpse into what we're about to uncover. The first step is realizing that women value emotional depth more than almost anything. If a man can understand how to connect emotionally, he gains a huge advantage. But here's where many fail. They confuse emotional connection with being overly available or oversharing. Balance is crucial. Women are drawn to a man who understands their emotions but doesn't lose himself in them. For example, if she's upset and venting about her day, most men immediately jump into solutions. That's logical, but it's not what she needs. Instead, acknowledge her feelings first. Try saying, "That sounds really frustrating. I see why you're upset." That simple line, it builds trust and shows you're paying attention. It hits a deeper psychological need that often goes unmet. Equally important is the dynamic of curiosity. Women don't want someone who lays everything out on the table at once. They're wired to crave a bit of mystery, a bit of a challenge. Imagine a man who, on the first date, reveals every detail of his past, present, and future. While this might seem honest, it actually drains all intrigue from the interaction. Why would she need to learn more about him when there's nothing left to discover? Contrast that with a man who answers thoughtfully but doesn't overshare. He keeps the conversation engaging by dropping hints instead of spilling everything. He might laugh and say, "Oh, I've got some stories. Maybe I'll tell you one someday." She's intrigued, not because he's holding back, but because he's framing himself as someone who values their time together enough to let her discover him gradually. One thing women are drawn to, but rarely express out loud, is a man who can lead decisively. This doesn't mean being bossy or arrogant. It means being grounded in your decisions. Women are naturally attracted to stability, and when you take the lead, you demonstrate confidence and capability. For instance, instead of endlessly asking, "Where do you want to go?" say something like, "I have a great idea for us. Let's try this spot. It'll be fun." It's not about controlling her, it's about being sure of yourself. Women notice and deeply appreciate a man who can provide a sense of direction without disregarding her input. Now here's an interesting twist. Humor might seem like a surface level skill, but it taps into much deeper emotions. Women remember how someone made them feel long after they forget what was said. A man who can make her laugh leaves a lasting impression because humor breaks down barriers. But not just any humor works. Being witty or playful without coming across as try-hard is what builds that emotional connection. Imagine teasing her lightly, saying, "You're way too confident for someone who just spilled her coffee," with a smile. You're setting the tone as someone who doesn't take things too seriously, yet knows how to engage meaningfully. Building attraction doesn't stop at humor or decisiveness. There's a lot more to uncover. One thing many men don't realize is how deeply women respond to emotional independence. It might sound counterintuitive, but being too available or constantly chasing her attention often backfires. When a man has his own life, filled with ambitions, hobbies, and a clear sense of purpose, it communicates something powerful. He doesn't need her to validate his worth. And believe it or not, that's attractive on a primal level. Women want to feel like they're stepping into a man's world, not becoming the center of it. If you can strike this balance, she'll find herself craving more of your time and attention without you even trying. Here's an example. Imagine two men texting a woman they're interested in. The first man responds instantly, writes long paragraphs, and constantly asks when they can meet. The second man responds at a natural pace, keeps his texts concise, and doesn't always initiate the conversation. The woman will likely feel more drawn to the second guy because his behavior communicates confidence. He's busy, interesting, and selective. She'll wonder what he's up to, and that curiosity creates emotional tension, an ingredient that's crucial for attraction. Speaking of curiosity, let's talk about touch, a form of nonverbal communication that's often underestimated. The right kind of physical touch has the power to create an immediate and deep connection. The key? Subtlety and timing. You don't need grand gestures to build chemistry. A casual touch on her hand while making a point, a light tap on her shoulder during a joke, or a steady hug that lingers just long enough. All of these can create a spark, but the wrong kind of touch, too forceful too soon or too frequent, can instantly kill the vibe. Learning how to gauge her comfort level and responding accordingly makes all the difference. Here's what makes touch so impactful. It activates feelings of closeness and trust. When done correctly, it's as if you're bypassing her logical mind and tapping directly into her emotions. Women don't always process this consciously, but it leaves a lasting impression. Combine that with eye contact, a confident, steady gaze that holds her attention for just a beat longer than usual, and you've created a cocktail of attraction that's almost impossible to resist. Let's shift gears and dive into a more overlooked aspect of connection, the ability to be vulnerable without coming across as weak. This is where many men struggle. They either wall off their emotions entirely or overshare, turning every conversation into a therapy session. Neither approach works. True vulnerability means sharing parts of yourself in a way that demonstrates strength and self-awareness. For example, saying something like, "There was a time I thought I couldn't handle failure, but now I see it as my greatest teacher," shows growth and depth. You're letting her see the real you without overwhelming her. Vulnerability, when balanced with confidence, creates a sense of trust and intimacy that superficial conversations simply can't achieve. And then there's protectiveness, another weakness women are naturally drawn to, often without realizing it. This doesn't mean acting possessive or overbearing. True protectiveness is about being attentive to her well-being in subtle, thoughtful ways. For instance, if you're walking together and notice an uneven patch of ground, you guide her around it without making a big deal. Or, when she mentions feeling drained by her busy schedule, you say, "Let's plan something low-key so you can relax." These gestures might seem small, but they trigger feelings of safety and care. Women are biologically wired to appreciate a man who makes them feel protected and looked after, not because she's weak, but because it reassures her on a primal level that you're reliable. But let me make this clear. Protectiveness doesn't mean putting her above everything else. It's about balance, showing you care while maintaining your own boundaries. If she sees that you're not sacrificing your identity or goals to please her, she'll value your actions even more. This ties back to emotional independence, being a man who cares deeply without becoming dependent on her approval. Now let's dive into another powerful dynamic: how women respond to a man's ability to inspire excitement and adventure. Most women are drawn to men who can offer experiences that break the monotony of everyday life. This doesn't mean you need to be a daredevil or constantly travel the world. It's about bringing unpredictability and excitement into your interactions. Imagine a scenario where she's expecting a regular dinner, and instead you suggest something spontaneous, like a midnight stroll in a scenic area or trying out a new type of cuisine. The unexpectedness creates a sense of novelty, which triggers dopamine, a feel-good chemical tied directly to attraction. This doesn't only apply to big gestures. Even in your conversations, creating a sense of intrigue and excitement makes her want to keep talking to you. Instead of predictable small talk like, "How was your day?" Try something playful. If you could drop everything right now and fly to any city in the world, where would it be and why? This sparks imagination, pulls her out of the ordinary, and links those positive emotions back to you. She starts to associate you with the kind of energy she craves, a break from the routine and a chance to feel alive. Closely tied to this is the concept of leadership, not in a dominant way, but in being someone who has direction and purpose. Women gravitate toward men with a clear sense of where they're headed in life. If you're aimlessly floating through life without any goals or passions, it's a massive turnoff. Conversely, if you have a vision for your future and you're actively working toward it, that energy is magnetic. It signals that you're not only capable of leading yourself, but also creating an environment of stability and growth for those around you. This brings us to a key point: how women view emotional strength. Life isn't always smooth, and when challenges arise, your ability to stay composed under pressure says a lot about you. Imagine you're out with her, and something unexpected happens. A mix-up with the reservation, traffic delays, or a sudden change in plans. The man who reacts with frustration or panic immediately lowers his attractiveness. On the other hand, the man who keeps his cool and finds a way to turn the situation into something positive stands out. Women are instinctively drawn to men who can adapt and remain unshaken by life's curveballs. It's this emotional resilience that signals to her that you're dependable, not just for her, but in life in general. A related yet distinct trait is self-discipline. Women are highly attracted to men who can demonstrate control over their emotions, actions, and decisions. Whether it's in your fitness routine, work ethic, or ability to stay calm in heated moments. Self-discipline shows her that you have mastery over your own life. And when you combine that with charm and presence, you become irresistible. For instance, a man who takes care of his health, keeps his space clean, and balances his social and professional life effortlessly demonstrates that he doesn't just survive, he thrives. That's an energy women want to align with. This also connects to the idea of standards. Women respect men who don't settle for less in life, relationships, or friendships. If you have the courage to walk away from situations that don't align with your values, it shows a level of self-worth that's rare. Too often, men will compromise or bend over backward to please a woman, thinking that it's the way to her heart. In reality, it's the opposite. A man who respectfully enforces his boundaries and knows what he brings to the table instantly earns respect and admiration. For example, if she's late for plans or cancels last minute, and you calmly say, "Let's reschedule when things are better for you," instead of complaining or begging for her time, it subtly communicates your confidence and high value. Women notice these little things more than men often realize. Every action or inaction speaks to her on a subconscious level, signaling either strength or insecurity. And that brings us to one of the most profound weaknesses women have: their deep-seated attraction to a man who maintains an air of self-possession no matter what. When you're rooted in your values, living your life unapologetically, and interacting with her from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, she feels compelled to earn your attention. This flips the dynamic, making her invest in the connection rather than taking it for granted. Lastly, let's talk about a factor that often flies under the radar: emotional tension. Women are highly responsive to the ebb and flow of emotions in an interaction. If every conversation or moment together is flat and predictable, it's hard to create lasting attraction. Tension is what keeps her engaged, curious, and craving more of your energy. The secret lies in creating a mix of challenge and reassurance. For instance, if she teases you about something, instead of getting defensive, playfully tease her back in return. Say something like, "You're lucky I find your sass charming, otherwise this would be trouble." It's lighthearted but conveys confidence. You're not overly eager to win her approval, and that balance keeps her intrigued. On the flip side, reassurance is equally important. While creating a bit of a chase can heighten attraction, every woman also needs to feel a sense of emotional safety. This doesn't mean constantly validating her. It's about making her feel like she can relax and be herself around you. Little moments of genuine attention, like remembering something important she said and bringing it up later, build trust without sacrificing the mystery that keeps her drawn to you. It's this push-pull dynamic that makes her feel like being with you is both exciting and comforting, a rare combination. Another weakness that ties all these traits together is a woman's subconscious gravitation toward masculine energy. Masculine energy isn't about dominance. It's about being grounded, focused, and unshaken by outside influences. A man who embodies this energy is steady and certain in his actions, but not rigid or closed off. He listens without always reacting, speaks with purpose rather than rambling, and remains calm even in emotionally charged situations. This doesn't just apply to relationships. It's an energy you bring to every aspect of your life, from your work to how you handle conflict. Women notice this kind of presence immediately, and it sets you apart from the countless men who let their emotions or insecurities dictate their behavior. Masculine energy naturally ties into the idea of setting expectations and leading by example. Women are far more attracted to men whose actions align with their words. It's not just about saying you're ambitious or that you want to improve yourself, it's about showing it. If you say you're working on a personal goal, let her see that through your effort and results. If you set boundaries in your interactions, stick to them. For example, if you've made it clear you value communication, but she continually gives you mixed signals or ghosting behavior, having the self-respect to address it, or even walk away if necessary, sends a powerful message. Women are naturally drawn to men who hold themselves to high standards because it signals strength, stability, and self-assuredness. Confidence is another universal weakness that women can't resist. But it's important to understand what real confidence looks like. It's not about arrogance, bravado, or constantly showing off. Real confidence is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted in self-belief. A confident man isn't trying to prove himself to anyone. He knows his worth and lets that shine through in his demeanor. For example, if you're in a group setting and someone challenges you, you don't need to dominate the conversation to assert yourself. Instead, staying composed and responding calmly demonstrates far more confidence than reacting impulsively. Women pick up on these subtle cues of self-assurance and find them incredibly attractive. One final point ties everything together: the ability to walk away. This might sound counterproductive, but it's one of the most powerful tools you have. When a woman knows you're willing to step back and remove yourself from a situation where you're not respected or valued, it changes the dynamic entirely. It's not about playing games or trying to make her chase you. It's about demonstrating that you're a man who respects himself above all else. This isn't just appealing, it's magnetic. Women respect a man who's not afraid to prioritize his own well-being, and that respect often turns into genuine attraction. When you bring all of these elements together, emotional independence, leadership, confidence, and the ability to maintain a sense of mystery, you become the kind of man women can't help but notice. And more importantly, the kind of man they're drawn to on a deeper level. These aren't just traits that create attraction. They're traits that build lasting connections. So, take these lessons and start applying them in your life. Because once you understand and embody these dynamics, everything changes. Ready to take this to the next level? If you found value in this, make sure to subscribe for more insights. And I'll see you in the next video.